Hi everyone, this is Jenny. I'm going to share a layout that I did for the Scrapfriends blog as a guest designer. I was lucky enough to be asked after the last color challenge, their yummy color palette, and so this is the new challenge that I'm going to do as part of that, and I decided to go ahead and make a video of it. The color palette, which I'm going to show here in a moment, is very nice palette of, they always pick theirs, obviously it's a yummy one, so it's off of different photographs, the sort of seeds from different different foods or different groups of foods, and usually it's seasonal. So this one is a bowl of, I believe it's butternut squash soup, and then it's got the soup and then the bowl around it and the background table, and it's lots of neutrals and just sort of one, there's like the yellow ochre kind of color from the butternut squash, and I had decided that what I would that's it there. What I would probably do is try to make it very neutral and very black and white and gray, except for that one sort of pop of the ochre. It's like a light kind of charcoaly gray, sort of cement color gray, the ochre a very pale gray, a dark charcoal gray kind of, and then it's either a navy or possibly a black. I'm gonna maybe do a little bit of both. And anyway, so that's kind of what I've decided, and other than that, other than just knowing what the colors are, I don't have too much of a plan. This is the photograph I'm going to use. It's of our dog Lola, and we had been taking our normal pictures around this time of year, and Lola never really looks at the camera, so it's hard to get a picture because she's usually not moving. And whenever we take a picture, and I don't know if it's a dog thing or just her thing, but her pupils, instead of having red eyes, they're always green. And this one, not only did she sit still for me, she didn't have any green eyes or anything. I didn't alter this in any way other than to print it in black and white. So that was pretty unusual for her to be still long enough to grab that. So that's the photograph I'm going to use, and I pulled a pile of things, and I'm just going to have lots of fun. So I pulled lots of background stamps and sort of grungy stamps and the wood grain, a chevron stamp, some more grungy stamps, and I have got some modeling paste and mist and washi tapes and lots of ink and a stencil I believe I'm going to use. This is some of the little bits and pieces I'm going to use, some of the flea market collection from Maggie Holmes, the little L for Lola. This is some of the cut and paste from Amy Tan. I don't think I ended up using any of that, but that was kind of encompassed all of those colors, so I had thought about using that. And the next piece is from the Lucky Charm collection, I believe, and it's that navy with the lighter blue. I didn't use that. I did use this piece of the glitz paper that has that darker yellow color, and I thought I might use some of this washi for the black, but I didn't. And I had planned to, I love this piece of paper. It's from the Heidi Swapp collection, and I love that, obviously I love the graphics, but I also love that 20 and the 13, and I thought about just making that the sort of, obviously the date or the title or something. I couldn't quite decide. Another wood grain, and this is also from crepe paper. That's an older piece from the 14 collection, and then this one from the newer collection are almost the same. It's a nice yellow ochre stripe, but just a different size stripe. This was the tag cutout from that same piece, so I didn't know if I might cut out some tags or use those. Another piece of musical note paper I'd kind of thought might be the background in the beginning, and a black and white stripe. And then I have these other bits and pieces, this neat pleated newsprint paper. It's I thought it was SEI, but it's I think it's Basil Basics, and or Basil. And these are some Luxe black glitters, stickers, and a stencil from Rhonda Palazzari from the Crafters Workshop. That's my favorite. So that's pretty much where I'm going to start. I'd pulled piles and piles of things, which just shows you my lack of direction other than I just wanted to play and have fun. I had a nice little atmosphere going in my craft room, and the kids were off with my husband, and so I just decided to play. So here we go. I fast forwarded it, and I'm going to talk through the majority of it, so you can just pick up here with the other part of the narrative. Okay, after I have had lots of requests for talking through more videos, I'm going to go ahead and do that for the majority of this. I did speed it up a good bit, so hopefully it will be a little bit shorter. But I'm just going to go through and show sort of my process trying to pick out some background photos. And I really feel like I need, I don't know why, I always feel like I need some sort of a mat behind the photo, so that is kind of that process of me trying to figure out what I need. I had printed the photo with the border around it, but I ended up cutting it down. This is that paper I loved that's Heidi Swap, so I decided I wanted to use the 2013, but it was a really big font. It was really bigger than I wanted to make the whole layout, and I ended up cutting it down. You'll see in a minute. So I pushed that off to the side for a second, and I decided to go ahead and use this stencil. And I don't know whether it's just these stencils or it's all stencils, but when I used these with this modeling paste, you'll see in a minute, they are amazing. And this is not, there's light modeling paste and there's regular modeling paste, and honestly I do not know the difference, but this is just modeling paste that I bought, and I mixed it with a dark sort of charcoal color. I ended up adding that little bit of silver there to lighten it up a bit. I thought it might give it a little bit of sheen, which it really didn't, but it did lighten it up. And I taped the whole thing down on my piece of cardstock, which is sort of a light gray, onto my board, and I just used you know, a popsicle stick to spread it over the pieces I wanted to. And the thing about modeling paste is it's like embossing powder. When you put it on and then you start to pull off the template, or when you turn on the heat gun on embossing powder, it's like magic. It just it's amazing. It just comes up, and if you're messy, it still comes up, and it looks amazing, and it's wonderful to see. So I just wanted a little bit of a textural background here to kind of give me a base to put more stamping and more things as a background. So I'm just going to dry it here with my heat gun, and obviously the thicker you get the modeling paste, the longer it will take to dry. This is not that thick, but I did want to dry it completely because I really wanted to go ahead and finish this. So I decided to go ahead and grab some of these stamps, and I just started stamping some of these sort of distressed polka dot stamps and some of this other sort of distressed kind of scratchy stamps, and I just sort of went for it. I was trying to minimize the colors that I used to these more muted sort of grays and things, and I kind of kept it off to the left side to kind of keep that in my focus where the photo was going to be. This was sort of the mat of what was behind the photo, and you know, a lot of that doesn't get shown by the time you get all of the layout done, but there's enough of it to sort of show that there is a bit of a process behind it. I think I actually did not push play on part of the video here, so you may have missed a piece of it, but I did go ahead and stamp the rest of some of those other stamps on it, and one of them did include a little teeny piece of yellow. So I took that little piece of the glitz paper that was that more ochre color, and I tore it and used that as a mat. And then I really wanted to use that 2013, but it was too big, so I put a piece of washi tape there just to hold it while I cut it, but it ended up looking okay, so when I cut it I just left it there. I adhered it to the border of the pieces of paper, and I think it worked out okay. So I'm going to use a piece of this sort of pleated newspaper, sort of newsprint cardstock that's from, I believe it's SEI, and I use that behind there, and some of those Maggie Holmes little die cuts, the L for Lola, and some other little things like that, one of those little slide frames. And I had cut out some pieces from on my silhouette that were out of vellum. I wanted to have lots of layers, but I really didn't want to overcomplicate it with too many colors and too many things. I wanted it to really be neutral except for that pop of ochre. And when I'm looking at one of those color palettes, I really try to look at, even though I do love the colors that are in it, and normally I would gravitate to more of the ochre, I try to kind of scale it to what they actually show the photograph being, where the background and the bowl and all of those things are all that kind of gray color, and it's just the soup that is that small bit of ochre, which is what the pop is. And so that's kind of the sort of the direction I take when I look at one of these color palettes, where I try to make that sort of proportion the same as what the photograph is, if that makes sense. Obviously, that's not necessarily what they mean or what you should do. That's just, I guess it's just a habit, or it's just the way I think of it to be. And in this case, I think that's more successful because the photograph was black and white, and the background was this striped carpet that we have that's neutral colors, and so that kind of popped against Lola, and so I think that yellow ochre is you know, it's really sort of it makes it stand out, and that's what I usually have a hard time trying to pick such minimal colors like that, where I do have one color that stand out. I'm so attracted to lots of colors these days that I have a hard time trying to make that one piece pop out. So in this case, it's such a great exercise to be able to challenge yourself to achieve that. So anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue all of those things down, and there's no sense in watching all of this because it's lots of fiddling on my part. So I've pretty much got that 2013 cut in half. I took some twine and balled it up underneath where the photo would be, and I always, as usual, pop my photo up on Pop Dots. And what's really weird is that left corner of where Lola's collar is, and I don't know what happened there, but it makes this odd loop with where honestly, it just sort of, it was coincidence that the loop of this twine happened to be where that loop of her collar and where this piece was, and it just it was odd, really odd. It was the like sort of back half of her back and sort of part of her collar, part of the ring of her, you know, her little rabies tag, and her other part of her collar, and her cheek, and it just all kind of came together, and it was sort of bizarre. I mean, it looks like it's sort of planned, and it's not really. I mean, it looks very graphic, but at any rate, that's that photograph put down, and I'm trying to decide now where to put the title. And I had lots of other ideas of what the, you know, call it, but this is Lola, and so I just wanted to call it Lola. And Lola is she is a very interesting little, she's a very interesting little animal. She's very She's very unique and she's very sweet, but she is very special. And so she deserves a special page. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw in some of the little bits and pieces that I had cut off from other things. I had other little bits and pieces that I threw on there. That little punched blue and or navy and white striped heart, and I am trying to figure out what to do. I thought I might add one of these little clothespins in this sort of that same ochre color, and it didn't look right. I actually had planned to sew a lot of these edges on and sew a lot of pieces through the edges of hearts and things, and I have broken my sewing machine. I thought it was just a broken needle, but it actually ended up being a lot more than that, so I'm not going to be sewing anything for a while. So I did use my tiny attacher, and I'm pretty much going to decide here that that's about it. I write a little bit of journaling here, and you will be able to see the close-ups and the final product. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to go to the Scrapfriends blog and check out all the amazing projects they have. They have amazing sketches and amazing color palettes, and I just love it. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon. Bye.